This happened 19 years ago, back when I worked at State Street Bank in Boston. On paper, it sounded impressive. High visibility project team, strategic financial operations, direct exposure to senior leadership. That's how it was sold to me. What I walked into was a mushroom farm. Kept in the dark, fed nothing but crap, and the farmer. Paula was the kind of manager who didn't lead, she hovered. The kind who didn't teach, she corrected. Constantly, aggressively, publicly. She had this tight, clipped voice. Always controlled. Always edged with disappointment. Like you had personally failed her just by existing. The team was small, just a few of us tasked with tracking complex financial risk items. One of my main responsibilities was a weekly report on oil. Warrants out of Nigeria. For those who don't speak finance, a warrant is an agreement to buy a commodity at a fixed price. In this case, someone had the option to buy oil at $30 per barrel, but market prices had skyrocketed to $90 per barrel. That meant if the holder exercised the warrant, the liability to the bank could be massive. Millions. So accuracy mattered. Numbers mattered. What didn't matter? Apparently, formatting. Every week, I'd prepare the report. I'd triple-check the data, validate every number, confirm exposures, reconcile inconsistencies, and every week, Paula would rip it apart. Not the math, not the risk. Analysis. The margins, the phrasing, the tone of the cover letter is weak. This sentence is redundant. Why is this comma here? The structure feels off. Week after week after week, I'd sit there in her office, hands folded, feeling my jaw clench, while she dissected the most microscopic nonsense imaginable. It wasn't about improving the work. It was about control. About making sure I knew she was smarter, better, superior. And here's the worst part. The rest of the organization was terrified of our team. SVPs had visibility into these reports. That gave Paula power, and she wielded it like a weapon. I knew within a month I'd been bait and switched. This wasn't strategic project work. It was compiling spreadsheets and absorbing psychological blows. So I started planning my exit. But before I left, I needed something. Not revenge. Proof. Proof that I wasn't incompetent. Proof that the problem wasn't me. And then one day, I found it. I was digging through old shared network folders looking for historical reference data. Buried deep in archive directories was an old project folder, dated years before. Paula managed a team, back when she did the reporting. Herself, Curiosity 1, I opened it, and there was her. Reports. Her cover letters. Her formatting, her sentence structure, her tone. And as I scrolled through it, I started to smile because it wasn't perfect. In fact, it had many of the same issues she'd been crucifying me for. Similar structure. Similar language, even similar formatting, inconsistencies. And that's when it hit me. If my work was unreadable, what would she say about her own? The following week, I rebuilt my entire report using Paula's old format. Not similar. Identical. Same structure. Same flow. Same cover letter. Phrasing nearly word for word. I only changed the numbers and the relevant oil warrant data. That's it. I printed everything out, her originals. Mine. Side by side. Then I walked into her office. She started flipping through it. Her eyebrows tightened almost immediately. What happened to your old format? I kept my voice calm. You didn't seem to like it. I thought I'd try something different. She flipped another page. Her jaw hardened. This is worse. This might be the worst one you've submitted. There it was. The familiar rhythm. The superiority. She kept going. This introduction is unclear. The structure is confusing. The tone is awkward. I just stared at her. Blank expression. Let her talk. Finally, she asked, "What were you thinking when you made these changes?" I slid the second stack of papers across her desk. I used your format from a similar project a few years ago. I found the folder online and modeled it exactly. Cover letter language too. Silence. Actual silence. She looked down at the papers. Back at me. Back at the papers. Her face didn't just change. It froze. like her brain needed a system. Reboot. For the first time since I started working there, Paula didn't have words. I waited. Then gently I asked, if this format is bad, should I switch back to mine? She swallowed, signed the report. And said, it's fine. Send it as is. We don't have time to redo it. I tilted my head slightly, just to confirm. Less than a minute ago you said it was basically unreadable. It's fine. Clipped, controlled, defensive. So I sent it, exactly as written, exactly as she had once written. And that should have been the end of it, but it wasn't, because I'd learned something. Paula criticized not because the work was wrong. She criticized because she needed to feel superior. So I started a quiet little game. I downloaded every old report of hers I could find before she had a chance to clean up the network drive, and I created my own private library of her templates. Every week after that, I'd subtly use her phrasing, her formatting, her structure. And every week she'd start to nitpick. Then hesitate, then backtrack. Eventually she caught on. One afternoon she asked directly, did you pull my old files? I nodded. I created SOPs from historical examples. It seemed logical. You could see it in her eyes. She couldn't attack her own work. So she stopped attacking mine. Not completely, but enough. The power dynamic shifted. I wasn't the clueless subordinate anymore. I was holding a mirror, and she hated it. A few months later, I found a new job and left. No dramatic exit. No fireworks. But when I walked out of that building for the last time, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Light. Validated. Because the truth was never about oil warrants. It wasn't about formatting. It was about insecurity, disguised as authority. And for once, she couldn't hide behind it. The best part wasn't her silence. It wasn't even the stunned look on her face. It was the moment she signed off on that report. The same report she just called the worst ever. Submitted. Because in that signature was an admission. She knew. She knew she'd been exposed, and she had no move left. Checkmate. Sometimes revenge isn't allowed. Sometimes it's not about getting someone fired. Sometimes it's simply about proving to yourself that you were never the problem, and making sure the person who tried to make you feel small has to swallow their own words. If you've ever dealt with a manager like Paula, drop a comment and tell us what they did. And if this story made you feel even a little vindicated, hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life revenge stories that prove karma doesn't always need help. But sometimes it gets it anyway. See you in the next one.